Hey guys, tonight we are traveling back to 18th century France. But we're not visiting glittering palaces or revolutionary philosophers. Instead, we're going to step into the shoes of someone truly unforgettable. This is a story about a hunger so profound, it defied all known science and morality of its time. Honestly, if you were to swap places with our subject tonight, you'd probably spend your days looking for the nearest exit, or the nearest all-you-can-eat buffet simultaneously. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Go ahead and let me know in the comments where you're listening from, and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see our little late-night history club spread across the globe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first thing you are aware of is not light, nor sound, nor the rough spun cloth swaddling you. It's a void, a gnawing, cavernous emptiness right in the center of your being. It's 1772, somewhere in the countryside near Lyon, France, and you've just been born. But your arrival isn't marked by a gentle cry for comfort, it's a raw, desperate wail for sustenance. Your name is Tarrare, though you don't know that yet. Your mother, a poor, hard-working woman, does her best. She puts you to her breast, and you latch on with a ferocity that startles her. You drain her, and then you drain her again. It's never enough. Your cries of hunger echo through the small, damp farmhouse, a constant, unrelenting soundtrack to your family's life. They watch you, this tiny infant with an impossibly large mouth and a stomach that seems to be a portal to another dimension. The world, for you, is not a collection of faces and objects, but a landscape of things that are either edible or not yet edible. This is pre-revolutionary France, a world of stark contrasts. While nobles feast in Paris, the countryside often eaters on the edge of starvation. For your family, a small farming household, every loaf of bread is a victory, every slab of salted pork a treasure to be rationed. And then there's you. Your hunger isn't just a child's appetite, it's a force of nature, a domestic black hole. By the time you're a toddler, you are eating more than your father, you are eating more than your father. A grown man who works the fields from dawn till dusk. You devour entire loaves of bread in minutes, gulp down bowls of stew meant for the whole family, and still, you look around with hollow eyes searching for more. You grow, but not in the way other children do. You are all skin and bone, a walking skeleton with shockingly loose skin that hangs in folds around your abdomen. When you haven't eaten, one could almost wrap the skin from your belly around to your back. But when you eat, it stretches grotesquely to accommodate impossible volumes. Your jaw can unhinge to a terrifying degree, revealing a gullet so wide you could practically drop an apple down it without it touching the sides. Your teeth are stained, your hair is thin and lank, and a strange, steamy vapor constantly rises from your body. You sweat profusely, and you carry with you a foul odor, one that even your own family, accustomed to the smells of the farm, finds hard to bear. Your parents try to understand. They consult the village priest who offers prayers. They see a local physician who offers nothing but bewilderment. No one has ever seen anything like it. Even now, looking back with all our modern medical knowledge, no one is quite sure what was wrong with you. Was it a damaged amygdala in your brain, short-circuiting your feelings of satiety, or perhaps a severe form of hypothyroidism, turning your metabolism into a raging furnace? Some historians even whisper about a psychological component, a profound emptiness that could only be filled, however temporarily, by food. The truth is, the medical and historical communities are still debating the nature of your affliction. As a boy, you learn to forage. But you don't just look for berries and roots. You catch frogs and lizards, swallowing them whole. You are found behind the barn, trying to gulp down a clutch of egg shells and all. You steal food from neighbors, scraps from the pig trough, anything that isn't nailed down. Your hunger erases all rules, all sense of propriety. It is your only master. Your parents' love, once a given, begins to curdle into a mixture of pity and a deep, primal fear. This isn't just their son. Their son is a vessel for something else, a terrifying, insatiable appetite that is threatening to devour their entire existence, one meager meal at a time. The other children in the village learn to fear you, not because you're a bully, but because of the way you look at their pets. the way you look at everything. The breaking point arrives not with a bang, but with a quiet, desperate finality. You are a teenager now, perhaps 17, though no one has kept precise records. Your body has stopped growing upwards, but your hunger has not stopped expanding outwards. It is a presence in the house now, a silent, ravenous guest at every meal. Your siblings, who once saw you as a strange brother, now see you as a scrap. Your parents' faces are etched with a permanent, weary anxiety. They love you, they must, but they are also practical people, and the mathematics of survival are brutal. You are an equation that can no longer be solved. The final incident is almost pathetically small. A basket of apples, saved to be sold at the market. Not for eating, but for coin. For salt, for lamp oil, for the bare necessities that keep the family from crumbling. But the smell, the crisp, sweet promise of them, it calls to your emptiness. You don't even think. You devour the entire basket. Cores, stems, and all, in a feverish rush behind the woodshed. The relief is fleeting, a tiny candle lit in an infinite cavern, and then the familiar ache returns, accompanied by a new cold dread. Your father finds the empty basket. He doesn't yell. His disappointment is too for anger. He looks at you, at your thin frame and the faint, foul-smelling stain that seems to rise from your skin after a large meal, bizarre phenomenon that doctors would later document. Your body burning calories so fast it literally produced visible heat. He sees not his son, but a walking famine. "We can't," he says, his voice rough with unshed tears. "We can't anymore." And so you are cast out. It's a scene replayed countless times in the harsh realities of 18th century peasant life. But yours is a unique case. You are not being sent away to make your fortune. You are being jettisoned to save the ship. Your mother packs a small bundle for you, a stale heel of bread and a thin blanket. She doesn't meet your eyes. Is this an act of monstrous cruelty, or the most heartbreaking act of tried historians and ethicists could argue for centuries about the moral calculus of your parents' decision? Were they abandoning their child, or were they making an impossible choice to save their other children from the slow starvation you guaranteed in that moment? Though there is no debate. There is only the rough canvas of the satchel in your hands and the dirt path leading away from the only home you've ever known. You walk. You don't look back. The world opens up before you, a terrifying and liberating expanse. For the first time, there are no rules. No one to disappoint. The hunger is still there, a constant companion. But now it is paired with a strange new freedom. The French countryside becomes your larder. You learn the rhythms of the villages, the times when kitchens are least guarded, when garbage pits are freshest. You become a shadow, flitting at the edges of society. This is where your diet solidifies from merely prodigious to truly bizarre. You learn that a stray cat, or difficult to catch, is more filling than a handful of acorns. You discover that the slop in a pigsty, while repulsive to others, is a feast to your stomach. You are no longer just a hungry boy, you are becoming a creature of pure, unadulterated survival. You are found, on more than one occasion, gnawing on discarded animal carcasses left by butchers, your face a mask of desperation. Your reputation begins to precede you, a whispered tale of a ghoul-like boy who eats things no human should. Your body is a paradox. Despite consuming vast quantities of, well, everything, you remain rail-thin, weighing no more than 100 pounds. Your health is, frankly, a mess. Your loose skin, your foul smell, your stained teeth, and your perpetually listless demeanor make you a pitiable and frightening figure. Yet you endure. Your constitution, in its own way, is miraculous. Your stomach can apparently handle rocks, garbage, and diseased meat without any immediate ill effect. This weird resilience is a key part of your legend, a fact that would later baffle the most educated minds in France. You are a walking, breathing, eating medical anomaly, and you are utterly, terrifyingly alone. The road is now your home, and the gnawing void inside you is your only guide. Wandering alone is a dangerous game, especially for someone like you. You're an outcast, a walking curiosity that invites both fear and scorn. Survival, you quickly realize, might require more than just scavenging. It requires a tribe. And in the sprawling chaos system of 18th century France's underbelly, you find yours. You fall in with a traveling troupe of, let's call them, entertainers. This isn't a respectable theatrical company, it's a motley crew of charlatans, mountebanks, pickpockets, and prostitutes. They are the human refuse of society, swept into a single, rolling caravan of opportunism. And they welcome you with open arms. Why? Because they see in you not a curse but a commodity. Your horrifying affliction is to them a marketable skill. The leader of this troupe is a sharp-eyed man with a silver tongue, a classic snake oil salesman who could sell snow in winter. He sees your cavernous mouth, your skeletal frame, and the haunted, hungry look in your eyes, and he doesn't see a tragedy. He sees a golden ticket. He listens to the rumors about you, the whispers of the boy who eats things that aren't food, and his eyes gleam with entrepreneurial spirit. He approaches you not with pity, but with a proposition. The world, he might have said, gesturing to the dusty road ahead, is a stage. People pay to be amazed. They pay to be disgusted. And you, my boy, you are a masterpiece of disgust. For the first time, someone is looking at your curse and calling it a gift. He offers you a deal of food and protection in exchange for a performance. You don't hesitate. The promise of a reliable meal, any meal, is the only siren song you can hear. You are given a place in their caravan, a corner to sleep in, and a role to play. They clean you up just enough to be presentable in a grotesque sort of way. They give you a theatrical, ragged costume and a stage name. You are no longer just Tarrare, the outcast. You are now the great Tarrare, the man with the insatiable gullet. Your new family is a cast of characters as strange as you are. There's a woman who pretends to communicate with the spirits of the dead, a man who swallows swords of far less impressive feat, in your opinion, and a team of nimble-fingered boys who work the crowds while all eyes are on the main attraction. That attraction increasingly is you. Life on the road is a blur of dusty towns and gaping faces. You learn the rhythm of the performance. The leader, your self-appointed manager, acts as the barker. He whips the crowd into a frenzy of anticipation, promising them a sight they will never forget, a testament to the bizarre wonders of nature. He tells them you possess the stomach of an ostrich, the appetite of a wolf, the constitution of a demon. He exaggerates, of course, but the core of his claims is terrifyingly true. Your relationship with this troupe is purely transcational. Do they care for you? Probably not. But they feed you, and that is a form of care, you understand. They become your protectors, shielding you from the stones and insults of villagers who might otherwise have run you out of town. You, in turn, become their meal ticket. Your performance ensures they eat well, which, by extension, means you eat. It's a strange, symbiotic relationship born of mutual desperation. This period teaches you a crucial lesson: your monstrosity can be monetized. Your deepest shame can be turned into a spectacle. You learn to lean into the crowd's revulsion, to play the part of the freak. You open your mouth wide on command, letting them peer into the abyss. You allow them to feel the loose, pliable skin of your stomach. You are an object, a thing to be gawked at. But you are a fed object. This is a strange and twisted form of security. Some historians wonder if this experience, this process of turning your affliction into a public performance, fundamentally altered your psychology. Did you begin to see yourself as nothing more than a gaping mouth, or was it a defense mechanism? A way to create distance between the boy named Tarrare and the monster on the stage? The debate continues. But one thing is certain: you are no longer just a victim of your hunger. You are now its willing accomplice. The show begins. Your manager, the charismatic charlatan, has warmed up the crowd. They stand in a semicircle in the muddy square of some forgotten French town, a collection of peasants, merchants, and curious children, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He presents you with a grand, theatrical flourish, and now he booms, "Prepare your senses for the eighth wonder of the world. The man who defies God and nature. The one, the only Tarrare." You step forward. The sun is in your eyes. You're still just a teenager, rail thin and awkward, but in this moment, you are a star. The performance starts small, an appetizer for the main course of disgust. Your manager hands you a basket of apples. The crowd murmurs, "Anyone can eat apples." But you don't just eat them. You inhale them. You open your impossibly wide mouth and stuff 4, 5, 6 apples in at once, your cheeks distending like a hamster's. You swallow them with a series of convulsive gulps, barely chewing. The crowd gasps. This is your art, your terrible unique art. Next, a basket of eggs. You shovel them in by the handful, crunching the shells between your stained teeth and swallowing the raw, slimy contents. The sound alone is enough to make some people wince and turn away. But most are mesmerized. They've never seen anything like it. Then comes the centerpiece of the act, the part that separates you from any mere glutton. Your manager holds up a bag. He shakes it, and it makes a dull, clinking sound. Stones. He pours a heap of them onto a wooden plate. The crowd falls silent. This is what they came for. The impossible. You pick up a smooth grey stone, the size of a pigeon's egg. You pop it into your mouth like a piece of candy and, with a thick, guttural swallow, it disappears. You do it again. You are not just a performer, you are a living refutation of common sense. But the piece de resistance is the basket. Not a basket itself. It's a small woven wicker basket. The kind a girl might use to gather flowers. Your manager presents it to you. You take it, examine it with the air of a connoisseur, and then you begin to break it apart with your hands. You stuff the splintered pieces of wicker into your mouth, chewing them into a rough pulp, and swallow. The crowd is a symphony of groans, gasps, and nervous laughter. One of your most famous or infamous tricks involved corks. Not just one or two. An entire bag of them. The act was a masterclass in audience manipulation. Your manager would invite a skeptical member of the audience to inspect the corks, to confirm they were real. Then you would proceed to swallow them one by one, dozens of them, until the entire bag was empty. The visual was astounding. The question on every earnest lips was, where does it all go? Of course, your body paid the price for these performances. While you seemed immune to immediate poisoning or perforation, you would often suffer from severe intestinal blockages. On more than one occasion, the show had to be packed up in a hurry as you lay in the back of the caravan, groaning in agony, waiting for nature to take its excruciating course. What goes in must come out, and the passage of a basket's worth of wicker or a bag of stones was not a pleasant affair. Interestingly, there's a little known tidbit that modern gastroenterologists find fascinating. Contemporary accounts described your stools as fetid beyond all conception. This suggests that whatever you were eating was putrefying inside your digestive tract, not being properly broken down. Your stomach might have been a storage unit, but it was a shockingly inefficient processor. This is one of the many medical puzzles you represent. Why could you swallow these things without, apparently, dying of sepsis or internal tearing? Was your stomach lining unusually thick? Did you produce an abnormal type of acid? We simply don't have the answers. As the show ends, you take a bow. The crowd throws a few coins. Your manager collects them, his eyes shining. You are given your reward, a huge bucket of whey and boiled potatoes, which you devour in solitude behind the tent. The performance is over. The monster has been put away, and you are just a hungry boy again, momentarily sated, waiting for the gnawing void to return. Each performance solidifies your reputation. The legend of Tarrare, the man who ate the UNEA table, spreads through the French countryside, one horrified village at a time. The provincial towns and muddy villages begin to feel small, their crowds to thin, their coins to few. Your manager, ever the ambitious visionary, has his sights set on a grander stage. A place where the bizarre is not just a spectacle, but a currency, a place teeming with enough wealth, squalor, and jaded souls to appreciate a truly unique talent like yours. He wants to take the show to Paris. The journey to the capital is the longest you've ever undertaken. You travel in the lurching caravan, passing through a landscape that is slowly changing. The fields become more manicured, the villages more frequent, the roads more crowded. For you, the journey is a series of sensory inputs. The smell of the bakeries in a prosperous town, the sight of a richly laden carriage splashing mud on the pool, the sounds of 100 conversations overlapping in a market square, and more full of food you cannot have. You arrive in Paris and first, it is not the romantic city of light you might imagine. It is a medieval metropolis bursting at the seams, a labyrinth of narrow, winding streets choked with people, animals, and filth. The air is thick with the stench of open sewers, unwashed bodies, and charcoal smoke, punctuated by the tantalizing aromas wafting from cook shops and pâtissiers. For you, it is sensory overload. The sheer density of food is overwhelming. There are butcher stalls hung with carcasses, street vendors selling roasted chestnuts and hot soups, bakeries with windows piled high with bread. Your hunger, which has been a constant dull ache, now sharpens into a frantic, desperate roar. Your troop sets up shop on the Pont Neuf, the new bridge, which despite its name is one of the oldest and busiest bridges in the city. It's not just a bridge, it's a microcosm of Paris itself. A permanent fairground packed with street performers, tooth pullers, pickpockets, and swindlers of every stripe. Here, you are not the only freak in the show. You have competition. There's a man who claims to have a petrified lung, a woman with a beard, a family of acrobats who form a human pyramid. To stand out here, you have to be truly exceptional. And you are. Your act, which was a sensation in the countryside, is a phenomenon in Paris. The jaded Parisians, who think they've seen it all, have never seen anything like you. Your manager refines the performance. He adds more dramatic flair, more elaborate props. He has you fight a mound-sized straw dummy, which you proceed to tear apart and eat straw, buttons and all. The crowds are huge. They press in a wall of faces, their expressions a cocktail of horror and delight. You become a minor celebrity of the Parisian underworld. Your name is whispered in taverns and gossiped about in marketplaces. Have you seen the man who eats stones? They say he swallowed a whole Lille, alive. The stories grow with each telling, becoming more and more fantastical. You are part man, part legend. But Paris is a city of high stakes and deep shadows. The money is better, but the dangers are greater. You have run-ins with the city guard who are less tolerant of unlicensed performances than their rural counterparts. You have to contend with rival performers who see you as a threat to their livelihood. And your health, always precarious, takes a turn for the worse. The sheer variety of garbage and refuse you consume in the city, things far more noxious than the simple stones and wicker of the countryside, begins to take a toll. One of the more peculiar and somewhat disgusting details recorded about you from this time is your unique method of dealing with the city's many stray dogs. While other street dwellers might chase them away, you would engage them in what was described as a fierce rivalry for carrion. You were reportedly seen fighting with dogs over piles of offal and rotting meat in the back alleys of Les Halles, the city's central market. It's a stark, brutal image, but it highlights the depths of your compulsion. You were not just performing hunger, you were living it in its most primal form. Did you feel any sense of accomplishment, having made it in the great city of Paris, or did the gnawing emptiness inside you simply grow larger in proportion to the city itself? Historians often debate whether you had any sense of self-awareness or ambition beyond your next meal. Were you a savvy performer consciously crafting a persona, or just a passenger in a body controlled by an inexplicable disease standing on that crowded bridge, with the din of the city all around you and 100 pairs of eyes on you? Perhaps you didn't even know the answer yourself. All you knew was that for now, in this chaotic, stinking, magnificent city, you were not starving. Your fame, or rather, your infamy, crests. You are no longer just another street performer on the Pont Neuf. You are a local legend, a piece of living folklore in the sprawling, gossipy metropolis of Paris. People don't just happen upon your show anymore, they seek it out. Your manager, ever the opportunist, raises his prices. The spectacle of your consumption is now a premium experience. Your name, Tarrare, becomes synonymous with grotesque appetite. Parents threaten naughty children with "you finish your soup, or Tarrare will come and eat your bed." Tavern songs are composed with verses about your impossible feats. You are the talk of the town, from the fishwives in the market to the idle servants of the aristocracy. It's a strange kind of celebrity, built not on beauty or talent in the traditional sense, but on the universal, morbid curiosity of humankind. People are drawn to the things that repulse them, and you are the embodiment of that fascination. The act becomes more daring, more shocking. You have to keep escalating to hold the attention of the jaded Parisian audience. One day, a man from the crowd, a butcher by trade, challenges you. He holds up a large, raw-sheep sliver. The crowd murmurs, a mix of disgust and anticipation. Can you or you snatch it from his hand, your eyes wide and feral? You don't cook it. You don't even slice it. You tear into it with your teeth, blood and bile dripping down your chin, and you devour the entire organ in a matter of minutes. The crowd erupts. Some cheer, some vomit. Your manager beams. This is showmanship. Your physical appearance adds to the legend. Descriptions from this period paint a vivid, disturbing picture. You are still unnaturally thin, yet your skin has a strange, loose quality, especially around your midsection. When your stomach is empty, it hangs in a great fold, and you can wrap it almost entirely around your waist. Your mouth is described as abnormally large, your lips thin and almost invisible when stretched. Your teeth are heavily stained undamaged from your diet of non-food items. And then there's the smell. It's described as so foul that people could not stand within 20 paces of you. This isn't the normal scent of an unwashed person, it's a rancid, putrid odor that seems to emanate from your very pores, a constant reminder of the rotting processes happening within you. But this fame is a double-edged sword. It brings you food and a strange sort of status, but it also isolates you completely. You are a spectacle, not a person. People stare, point, and whisper, but no one sees the young man inside the monster. You have your troupe, but as we've established, their affection is tied directly to your earning potential. Are you lonely? It's a question that history cannot definitively answer. The records written by doctors and observers focus on the what of your action, not the why of your feelings. Did you yearn for a normal life, for a simple meal that would satisfy you, for a conversation that wasn't about the contents of your stomach, or had your humanity been so thoroughly eroded by your condition that such desires were alien to you? A strange but telling detail from this time: you weren't known to be particularly fond of snakes. This wasn't just a part of the act, you reportedly sought them out and consumed them as a delicacy. An 18th century audience would have found this particularly shocking, as snakes were often associated with evil and the devil. For you, they were just another source of protein. This fascination with eating live animals, snakes, cats, puppies is what truly pushed you into the realm of the monstrous for many observers. It was one thing to eat inanimate objects, a bizarre party trick. It was another thing entirely to extinguish a life with a gulp, to consume a creature whole and wriggling. Your celebrity is at its peak. You are the king of the Parisian freaks. But the human body, even one as strange as yours, has its limits. The constant abuse you inflict upon your digestive system is a ticking time bomb. The fame, the crowds, the escalating diet of horrors, it's all unsustainable. A crisis is looming, a moment when the spectacle will become a medical emergency, and your life will take another sharp, unexpected turn. For now, you stand in the center of the crowd, the foul-smelling, celebrated monster of Paris, swallowing your next impossible meal. The performance is in full swing. The Parisian air is thick with the usual cocktail of smoke and humanity. Today's grand finale is particularly ambitious, a whole Lille, second writhing, presented to you in a wooden bucket. The crowd leans in, a collective intake of breath. This is the kind of visceral primal horror they've paid to see. You reach in, grab the creature, and with practiced, horrifying efficiency, you bite off its head and begin to swallow it whole. But something goes wrong. The eel, or perhaps something you ate earlier, doesn't go down the usual way. A searing pain rips through your gut. It's a pain far beyond the usual discomfort of passing a basket's worth of wicker. This is sharp, immobilizing. You double over, clutching your stomach, a strangled groan escaping your lips. The crowd, at first, thinks it's part of the act, a brilliant piece of dramatic flair, but your face, contorted in genuine agony, tells a different story. You collapse. The show is over. Panic ripples through the crowd. Your manager and the troupe rush to your side. their faces masks of concern not for your well-being, but for their star attraction. They haul you, moaning unbarely conscious, into the back of a caravan. They wait. They are used to your bouts of indigestion. But this is different. Hours pass, and the pain only intensifies. You are feverish, your body drenched in a foul-smelling sweat. It becomes clear that this isn't something that can be waited out. You are dying. Desperate, your manager makes a decision that will change the course of your life. He can't take you to a common charity ward. They'd likely let you perish without a second thought. He needs a real doctor, someone who can save his investment. Through a network of contacts, he gets you admitted to the Hôtel Dieu, one of the oldest and most renowned hospitals in Paris. You are carried through the gates of a place that is less a sanctuary of healing and more a repository of human suffering. The Hôtel Dieu of the 18th century is a crowded, chaotic institution. Patients are often 2 or 3 to a bed, regardless of their ailment. The air is heavy with the smell of disease and unwashed linen. But it is also a place of learning, staffed by some of the most curious and dedicated medical minds in France. You become an immediate object of fascination. The doctors who examine you have never seen anything like it. They diagnose you with a severe intestinal obstruction. Your life hangs in the balance. They treat you with the aggressive and often brutal methods of the time, purges, emetics, enemas. They are trying to force out whatever is blocking your system. Miraculously, or perhaps just luckily, it works. After days of agony, the obstruction passes. The immediate crisis is over. But the doctors are not ready to let you go. You are a medical marvel, a living paradox. They question your manager, the troupe, and you, trying to piece together your history. They are flabbergasted by your reported diet. It defies all known principles of medicine and biology. They keep you for observation, less as a patient and more as a specimen. This is your first official entry into the annals of medicine. You are no longer just a street legend, you are a documented case study. One of the senior physicians at the hospital, a man named Giraud, takes a particular interest. He decides to test the veracity of the stories. He orders a meal for you. Not just any meal. A meal prepared for 15 German laborers, a feast of meat, bread, and cheese. It is brought to you, and you, weakened recovering, devour the entire thing in a single sitting, right in front of the astonished medical staff. They watch as your stomach distends, swelling like a balloon, stinking sweat that breaks out all over your body. They document your claims that you could eat a live cat, a dog, or a bag of stones with equal ease. A strange detail recorded during this hospital stay highlights the psychological aspect of your condition. Even when you were in extreme pain from the obstruction, the doctors noted that your eyes would dart around the ward, constantly scanning for anything edible. You were seen trying to drink the foul-smelling liquid from the apothecary's jars and chewing on the soiled bandages of other patients. This wasn't hunger for sustenance, it was a compulsion. A form of pica so extreme it overrode even the instinct for self-preservation. It's a key piece of evidence for those historians who argue your condition was rooted as much in your mind as in your stomach. Your stay at the Hôtel Dieu marks a transition. You have been discovered by science. The informal, exploitative relationship with your troupe is about to be replaced by a more formal, clinical form of exploitation by the medical and, soon, the military establishment. You have been saved from death, only to be delivered into a new kind of cage, the examination room. Your recovery at the Hôtel Dieu coincides with a seismic shift in the world outside its walls. It's 1789. The whispers of discontent in Paris have erupted into a roar. The Bastille has fallen. The air is electric with revolution. The old order is crumbling and a new, fierce patriotism is sweeping through France. The watchwords are no longer king and country, but liberté, for a young man like you, with no family, no trade, and no prospects beyond being a sideshow freak. The army represents something new and opportunity. The revolutionary government needs bodies. It needs soldiers to defend the nascent republic against the monarchies of Europe, who look upon the events in France with horror. A call goes out for volunteers, and men from all walks of life answer. For many, it's a matter of principle. For others, it's a steady job with the promise of 3 meals a day. For you, that promise is the only thing that matters. You leave the hospital, your brief and bizarre medical celebrity fading as the city's attention turns to politics and war. You bid farewell to your old life with the traveling troupe. Your illness and recovery have shown them your vulnerability. You are no longer a reliable cash cow. The parting is likely unceremonious. You are on your own again, but this time, you have a destination. You make your way to a recruiting station for the French Revolutionary Army. The recruiting sergeant who signs you up probably doesn't know what to make of you. You are still rail thin with a strange, vacant look in your eyes and an odor that makes him wrinkle his nose. But you are ambulatory, and you are willing. In a time of desperate conscription, that is enough. You are given a uniform that hangs on your skeletal frame like a scarecrow's tunic, a musket you can barely lift, and a new identity citizen soldier of the French Republic. You are sent to a training camp, and it's here that the fundamental conflict between your nature and your new profession becomes painfully clear. The Army's promise of 3 meals a day is, from your perspective, a cruel joke. The standard daily ration for a French soldier at this time was a ounces of bread, a few ounces of meat often salted and of poor quality, and some dried beans or peas. For a normal man, it was enough to survive. For you, it is a starvation diet, a cruel reminder of the cavernous, unshitable void within you. You are constantly, debilitatingly hungry. The gnawing ache that has defined your entire life is now amplified by the rigors of military life. You march for miles, you drill with your musket, and you burn calories you can afford to lose. You finish your own meager ration in seconds and then watch with desperate, predatory eyes as your comrades eat theirs. You quickly become a pariah in your own platoon. You beg for your fellow soldiers' leftovers. You steal food from the quartermaster's stores. You are caught, on multiple occasions, rummaging through the garbage pits behind the mess hall, fighting with the camp dogs for scraps of gristling bone. Your officers punish you for your lack of discipline, but no amount of latrine duty or extra drills can curb the primal force that drives you. Your hunger is not a choice, it is a tyrant. Your condition, which was a spectacle in civilian life, is a liability in the military. You are weak, often too exhausted from malnutrition to perform your duties effectively. You are a source of constant disruption. Yet, you are not discharged. While the records are unclear, perhaps the army was too disorganized in these early revolutionary days to process a medical discharge for something so bizarre. Or perhaps, just perhaps, whispers of your unique talent were already beginning to circulate among the officers. A particularly strange anecdote from this period, recorded by the military surgeons who would later study you, involves your consumption of medical supplies. You were caught breaking into the infirmary and devouring a poultice, a moist, often foul-smelling mass of bread, herbs, and other substances applied to wounds. The idea of eating a used bandage compress is revolting, but it underscores the non-discriminatory nature of your pica. Between the desirable and the disgusting simply did not exist. Whatever could be swallowed would be swallowed. Some historians debate whether your enlistment was a genuine act of patriotism or a calculated move of desperation. Did you believe in the ideals of the revolution, or did you simply see a uniform as the most likely path to your next meal given your life history? The latter seems more probable. You were not a soldier fighting for an idea. You were a walking, all-consuming appetite, trapped in a soldier's uniform, marching towards a destiny you could not possibly have imagined. The army thought it had gained a soldier. It would soon learn it had recruited a biological weapon. Your reputation within the French Revolutionary Army begins to morph. You are no longer just Private Tarrare, the undisciplined garbage picker. You are becoming a legend of a different sort. The stories of your pre-army life, the tales of eating stones in baskets, follow you into the barracks. At first they are whispered jokes, exaggerations told around the campfire, but your continued, desperate behavior in the face of militaryfying credence. Your fellow soldiers, a rough and tumble mix of idealists, peasants, and urban poor, don't know whether to pity you or fear you. They watch as you perform extra, grueling chores for other soldiers in exchange for their ration of bread. They see you catching stray cats and devouring them raw in the woods behind the camp. You are a constant, unsettling presence. The usual camaraderie of soldiers, forged in shared hardship, doesn't extend to you. The camp becomes your new hunting ground. Your skills, honed by years of scavenging on the roads and in the alleys of Paris, are now applied to the military environment. You learn the schedule of the cookhouse, the location of the waste pits, the habits of the officers' mess. You are a phantom driven by a singular, all-consuming purpose. Your hunger makes you invisible to the rules and structures of military life. You slip through the cracks of discipline, a ghost in search of calories. The official records of your military service are scant, but the anecdotal accounts, later compiled by army surgeons, paint a vivid picture. You were known to sneak into the surgeon's tent to drink the flabberté blood, the blood let from patients during the common medical procedure of the time. You would fight with rats over discarded bits of offal. Your diet was, if anything, more horrific than it had been on the streets, a grim testament to the deprivation of military life. Your physical state deteriorates even further. You are constantly weak, suffering from what was described as an utter prostration of strength. You are admitted to the military hospital at Soltizy-Hortrin, not for a battle wound, but for simple, profound exhaustion brought on by chronic malnutrition. A normal body would have wasted away and died, but your body, this bizarre medical enigma, clings to life. It is here, in the sterile, disciplined environment of the military hospital, that your condition once again comes under the scrutiny of the medical establishment. The chief surgeon of the hospital is a man named Doctor. He is a respected, experienced army doctor, but nothing in his career has prepared him for the case of Private Tarrare. He hears the rumors from the soldiers, the stories of your insatiable, indiscriminate appetite. He is skeptical, but intrigued. He decides to conduct an experiment. He orders that your rations be quadrupled. A normal soldier receives one ration. You are given four. You devour them instantly and are still ravenously hungry. The medical staff watches in disbelief. They see your gaunt frame, your listless demeanor, and cannot reconcile it with the sheer volume of food you consume. Dr. Kerville becomes obsessed. He sees you not as a soldier, but as a scientific puzzle demanding to be solved. He begins to document your case with a clinical, detached curiosity. He confirms the old stories. He gives you a live cat. You tear open its abdomen with your teeth, drink its blood, and swallow it whole, leaving only the bones which you would vomit up a few hours later. The scene, witnessed by a room full of surgeons and officers, is so horrifying that Dr. Kerville himself reportedly has to leave the room. A strange but significant detail noted by the doctors was the texture of your skin. It was described as being incredibly soft and loose. When you were hungry, they could stretch the skin of your abdomen to an incredible degree, wrapping it around your torso. This extreme skin laxity, possibly a form of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, is another piece of the puzzle that modern doctors have tried to fit into a diagnosis. Was it a connective tissue disorder that contributed to your strange physiology? This remains one of the many what-ifs in your story. The hospital becomes your cage, and also your stage. You are the star of a new, more scientific kind of freak show. The doctors, driven by the empirical spirit of the Enlightenment, are determined to understand you. They are no longer just trying to cure an ailment. They are trying to map the very limits of human biology. And you, in the center of it all, are just doing what you have always done, eating whatever is put in front of you. You are a black hole in the heart of a military camp, a legend whispered from the barracks to the officers' mess, a problem, a phenomenon that the French army must now figure out what to do with. Your case, this walking, eating conundrum in the hospital at Soltizy, is too extraordinary for one man to handle. Dr. Ville, though fascinated, feels the intellectual weight of your mystery. He decides he needs a second opinion, another mind to witness and analyze this unprecedented phenomenon. He sends for Baron Percy. Baron Dominique Gianellari, often known simply as Percy, is not just any army surgeon. He is a rising star in French military medicine, a man of immense intellect, courage, and innovation. He would go on to become one of the most famous surgeons of the Napoleonic era, renowned for inventing the flying ambulance to retrieve wounded from the battlefield. When Percy arrives, he brings with him an air of authority and intense, scientific curiosity. He is exactly the kind of man to appreciate the full scope of your strangeness. You are probably unaware of the significance of this meeting. To you, Percy is just another man in a uniform, another face observing you from behind a clipboard. But this encounter will cement your place in medical history. Percy's detailed, clinical, and utterly flabbergasted you are the primary reason we know your story today. Percy and Cavil become a strange sort of scientific duo, united in their study of you. They are men of the Enlightenment, firm believers in observation, and experimentation, and experimentation, and experiment. They approach your condition, not with disgust, though they certainly felt it, but with a methodical zeal. They are determined to catalogue every bizarre aspect of your physiology. They confirm what Cavil had already discovered. They give you the quadrupled rations, which you devour instantly. They witness your insatiable hunger, a force that seems to have no off switch. Percy's notes from this period are a litany of astonishment. He describes your appearance in detail: the gaunt frame, the jaundiced-looking skin, the lank fair hair, and the mouth that seems to stretch almost to your ears. He is particularly struck by your jaw and throat, noting that when you opened your mouth, you could reveal a vast, dark cavity, a gullet that seemed to define normal anatomy. He documents the smell. Oh, the smell. Percy describes it in clinical but horrified terms, stating you were fetid degree that he could not be endured within the distance of 20 paces. He notes that this odor would become significantly worse after you had eaten, and that you would break out into a profuse sweat, with a visible vapor rising from your body as your metabolic furnace went into overdrive. But perhaps the most telling aspect of their investigation was how they talked about you. In their writings, you are rarely referred to with any sense of personality. You are the case, the subject, a phenomenon. This dehumanizing language is typical of 18th century medical discourse, but in your case, it feels particularly apt. Your personhood seems to have been completely overshadowed by your biology. Were Cavil and Percy cruel? Not necessarily by the standards of their time. They were scientists confronted with the unknown, and they treated you as such. The ethical considerations that would govern such a case today were simply not part of their worldview. One of the more peculiar details Percy recorded was the state of your stomach. After a large meal, your abdomen would distend like a huge balloon. But a few hours later, it would be flaccid again, and the loose skin would hang in folds. This rapid processing or lack thereof is a central mystery. What was happening inside you? Some modern theories suggest you might have had a massive gastric pouch or a fistula, an abnormal connection between your stomach and another part of your intestine, causing food to bypass the normal digestive process. This is, of course, purely speculative. The why of your condition remains a topic of intense debate among medical historians. The two doctors are in a bind. They have a soldier who is unfit for duty, a patient they cannot cure, and a scientific specimen they cannot bear to part with. You are too weak to fight, too disruptive for the barracks, and too fascinating to simply discharge. You exist in a strange limbo within the army structure, a resident of the hospital, who is not truly sick in a conventional way, but is fundamentally, incurably different. The stage is now set for your brief, bizarre, and ultimately disastrous career in espionage. The very men who are studying you are about to look at your curse and see, not a medical problem, but a military opportunity. With Baron Percy and Dr. Cavil now jointly managing your case, the nature of your existence shifts. You are no longer just a patient to be healed, but a living laboratory. The hospital ward becomes your enclosure, and the doctors, your curious you beings. They are driven by a relentless, empirical desire to understand the boundaries of your condition. What, exactly, can a human body endure? You are the answer to a question they hadn't even known how to ask. The experiments begin in earnest. They are systematic, documented, and, from a modern perspective, profoundly unethical. The doctors are not trying to hurt you in their minds. They are advancing the cause of science. They are pushing the limits, and your body is the vessel for their inquiry. First, they test your capacity. They present you with a meal that would be absurd in any other context. A single meal consisting of 2 enormous meat pies, plates of grease and salt, and 4 gallons of milk. They watch, clipboards in hand, as you, without a moment's hesitation, consume the entire offering. You finish, look up at them with those same hollow eyes, and non-verbally signal that you are still hungry. The staff is dumbfounded. This isn't appetite, it's a physiological law unto itself. Next, they test the boundaries of what is considered food. They've heard the stories, but they need to see it for themselves. They bring you not food, but a collection of objects. A leather pouch. You chew it, soften it with your saliva, and swallow it. A whetstone. You crunch it with your stained teeth and gulp it down. They are essentially reenacting your street performances, but in a clinical setting, for the sake of a medical report rather than a few coins. The atmosphere in the hospital ward must have been surreal. A gaunt, foul-smelling soldier, surrounded by the leading medical minds of the French army, methodically eating things that would kill any other person. Each successful swallow is a victory for their research, another data point in the strangest case they will ever encounter. Your reaction to all this is passive. You are a willing participant. Why? Because participation means food. It means attention. It means attention. It means a break from the gnawing emptiness. The doctors offer you a live lizard, you eat it. They offer you a snake, you eat it, expressing a particular fondness for it. You seem to have no fear, no revulsion. Your internal compass, which should point away from danger and disgust, is broken. It points only towards swallow. The question of your mental state during these experiments is a subject of great historical debate. Were you a simpleton, unable to comprehend the risks, or were you a desperate man, willing to do anything for a meal and a roof over your head? Percy himself described you as having an apathy of mind, without any force of ideas or reflection. He saw you as almost subhuman, a creature of pure instinct. But is it possible this apathy was a profound form, a response, a psychological retreat from a life of constant hunger, shame, and exploitation? We see your actions through the biased lens of 18th century doctors who were not equipped to understand the complexities of psychology. One of the most bizarre and little-known experiments they conducted involved testing the limits of your stomach's corrosive abilities. After you had swallowed an object, say a small metal tin, they would listen to your abdomen with their stethoscopes. They documented that they could hear the object rattling around inside you for hours before it was eventually, and often painfully, passed. This suggests your stomach acid, while perhaps unusual, was not some mythical supersolvent capable of dissolving metal, as some of the more lurid legends claimed. It was just a stomach, albeit one with an entrance policy that was, to put it mildly, non-exclusive. The culmination of these experiments solidifies a critical fact in the minds of Percy and Cavil: your digestive system, while seemingly capable of passing almost anything, does not destroy objects. It merely contains and transports them. This single observation, born from weeks of methodical, grotesque testing, is about to spark an idea. An idea that will take you out of the relative safety of the hospital ward and thrust you into the heart of the war. Your greatest weakness, your all-consuming hunger, is about to be repurposed. The doctors are about to hand their star specimen over to the generals. The experiments have established your capacity and the non-destructive nature of your digestive tract. Now Percy and Cavil move on to the next logical, if horrifying, phase of their inquiry, testing your abilities on live animals. This is the part of your story that truly cements your reputation as something monstrous, pushing the boundaries from bizarre medical case to unsettling horror story. The scene is set in the hospital's demonstration room. A small audience of surgeons and, now intrigued military officers has gathered. They are here to witness the unbelievable. Dr. Ville, ever the showman, has procured a live cat. Not a small kitten, but a full-grown domestic cat, wary and agile. The cat is presented to you. There is no ceremony. You are not a performer on a stage anymore, you are a subject in a laboratory. You take the animal. Your movements are described as swift and predatory. You don't hesitate. You use your teeth to tear open the cat's belly. The room is filled with the animal's desperate cries, a sound that makes even the hardened army surgeons flinch. You lower your head and drink its blood directly from the wound, like a vampire from a gothic novel. Then the truly unthinkable happens. After the cat is dead, you put the entire animal in your mouth. Your jaw, with its terrifying elasticity, stretches to accommodate it. With a series of powerful, convulsive swallows, you force the entire carcass down your gullet. The act is over in minutes. The room is silent, thick with a mixture of scientific and profound revulsion. Baron Percy, a man who had seen the worst of battlefield injuries, would later write that this sight was so unbearable he had to look away. A few hours later, as the doctors had come to expect, you vomit up the cat's fur and bones, neatly separated from the flesh your body had somehow processed. It's a gruesome biological miracle, but they are not done. The scientific process demands replication and expansion. They bring you snakes. You show a genuine liking for them, dispatching them with a quick bite and swallowing them with ease. They bring you puppies. The result is the same. You are a biological disposal unit, an indiscriminate vortex of consumption. During these tests, a strange and oft overlooked detail was recorded. The doctors noted that when you were presented with a live animal, your entire demeanor changed. The usual apathy and listlessness that defined you would vanish. Your eyes would become sharp, focused, and what Percy described as bloodshot. A strange fire seemed to light up within you. It was as if the prospect of this specific kind of consumption activated a different part of your brain, a primal, predatory instinct that lay dormant during your more mundane feats of eating bread or milk. This observation is crucial and fuels the debate among historians about your psychology. Was this strange fire merely the anticipation of finally sating your profound hunger, or was there something darker at play? Did the act of killing and consuming provide a psychological satisfaction that went beyond mere calorie intake? It's an unsettling question, and one that shifts the perception of you from a pitiable victim of a disease to a more complex and potentially disturbing figure. Were you just hungry? Or were you also, in some way, cruel? The academic world is still divided on whether to interpret your actions as a symptom of a purely physical ailment or as a sign of a deeply disturbed psychology, what we might today call a severe form of zoopagia. The climax of these live animal experiments involves an eel. A large, live eel, which you swallow whole after crushing its head with your teeth. This specific event seems to be the one that most impressed the military officers who were present. They saw not a medical freak, but a man with a unique, if disgusting, capability. They saw a man who could swallow things whole, keep them contained within his body, and deliver them later. The sight of you consuming that eel, a slick, writhing creature, disappearing into your gullet, sparks an idea. The gears of military strategy begin to turn. The generals are starting to look at you, Private Tarrare, and see not a problem soldier, but a potential solution. A very secret, very strange solution. The audience for your demonstrations has been gradually expanding. It's no longer just a few curious surgeons. High-ranking officers have been invited to witness the phenomenon of Private Tarrare. Among them is a man named General Alexander de Beauharnais. He is a nobleman by birth but a revolutionary by conviction, a sophisticated and ambitious commander in the army of the Rhine. He is also, incidentally, the first husband of the future Empress Josephine, which makes him Napoleon Bonaparte's predecessor in her affections. General de Beauharnais watches your performance, the consumption of live animals, the swallowing of inanimate objects with a strategist's sigh. He is not horrified, or at least, he doesn't show it. He is intrigued. He sees past the grotesque spectacle and perceives a unique opportunity. France is at war. Intelligence, the lifeblood of any army, is difficult to obtain. Messages must be carried across enemy lines, a risky business of couriers and co. What if there was a better way, a way to carry a message that no one would ever think to look for? The idea crystallizes in his mind, born from the bizarre evidence of your abilities. You can swallow things, you can hold them in your stomach and digest it. You can pass them later. Therefore, you could be a human vessel for secret messages. You could be the perfect spy. It is one of the most absurd ideas in the history of espionage. It's a plan so outlandish it sounds like something from a satirical play, not a military strategy session. But these are desperate, revolutionary times. The old rules are being thrown out, and unconventional thinking is in vogue. General de Beauharnais summons Dr. Covilland Baron Percy. The doctors are likely taken aback. They have been studying you as a medical curiosity, a puzzle of biology. The idea of weaponizing your condition, of turning their scientific subject into a secret agent, must have been jarring. But they are also military men. They understand the chain of command and the exigencies of war. If a general sees a strategic advantage, their duty is to facilitate it. The plan is simple yet audacious. A message would be written and placed inside a small, specially designed wooden box. The box would be small enough for you to swallow. You would then be sent across enemy lines, disguised as a peasant. Once you reached your destination, the quarters of a captured French colonel held by the Prussians, you would simply wait for nature to take its course, retrieve the box, and deliver the message. The colonel would then have the intelligence needed to aid his fellow prisoners or the French army. From a purely logical standpoint, it's almost foolproof. Who would ever think to search a man's digestive tract for a secret dispatch? It's the ultimate hiding place. But the plan has one glaring catastrophic flaw. You are not James Bond. You are not a suave, adaptable agent trained in the arts of deception and infiltration. You are a gaunt, foul-smelling, mentally apathetic young man who doesn't speak a word of German and whose entire being is focused on the singular pursuit of your next meal. You are, in short, the worst possible candidate for a spy in every respect except for your unique gastric abilities. This is a point of considerable debate for historians. Was General de Beauharnais a genius for thinking so far outside the box, or a fool for overlooking the glaringly obvious human element? Some argue that in the chaos of the Revolutionary Wars, commanders were forced to be wildly inventive. Others contend that the plan was a sign of profound desperation and a shocking disregard for your life. You were not seen as a soldier being sent on a mission, you were seen as a piece of equipment being deployed. A little-known but crucial part of this plan was the reward. What did they offer you to undertake this perilous mission? Not money, not a promotion. They offered you a wheelbarrow full of 30 pounds of raw balls, lungs and liver. This was your signing bonus. The fact that this was considered a suitable and motivating reward speaks volumes about how they perceived you and your priorities. To them, you were not a man to be reasoned with, but an appetite to be baited. The promise of such a feast was likely the only payment you could truly understand or desire. The decision is made. The absurd is about to become reality. You, Tarrare, the street performer, the medical freak, the garbage eater, are about to become a spy for the French Republic. Your strange and tragic life is about to take its most bizarre turn yet. The mission is a goal. The first step is a proof of concept, or dress rehearsal to ensure the mechanics of this insane plan actually work. General de Beauharnais himself presides over the test, a clear indication of how seriously he is taking this unconventional approach to espionage. The atmosphere is tense with a strange, historic absurdity. A small wooden box is prepared. It's carefully crafted from a light wood, sanded smooth with rounded edges to minimize the risk of internal injury. It's about the size of a large pill capsule. Inside, a slip of paper is placed. For this test run, it's a simple, harmless message. A string is tied to the box, a detail that seems both practical and faintly ridiculous, as if you were a child's toy. You are brought before the general and his staff. You have already received your payment, the wheelbarrow of offal, which you have dutifully consumed. You are likely in a state of post-meal lethargy, the foul-smelling sweat beading on your pale skin. You are presented with the small wooden box. There is no hesitation. This is what you do. You've swallowed stones, corks, all manner of inedible objects for a paying crowd or a curious doctor. This is no different. You take the box, pop it into your cavernous mouth, and with a practiced gulp, it disappears down your throat. The officers watch, a mixture of amazement and unease on their faces. The first part of the experiment is a success. Now comes the waiting game. You are kept under observation. 2 days pass. The military brass, men used to the thunder of cannons and the swiftness of cavalry charges, are now anxiously waiting for a soldier to have a bowel movement. It is, without a doubt, one of the strangest vigils in military history. Finally, the moment arrives. You are escorted to a latrine by a nervous-looking junior officer. And there, amidst the filth, is the small wooden box, a little worse for wear but fully intact. The string, a small victory for practical planning, makes the retrieval process marginally less disgusting. The box is cleaned and brought back to General Debo Harney's. He opens it. The slip of paper inside is perfectly preserved, the writing completely legible. The general is ecstatic. It works. His wild, improbable theory is proven correct. From his perspective, he has just unlocked a revolutionary new method of secure communication. He has a spy who is, in essence, a walking, breathing lockbox. This successful test is a pivotal moment. It transforms the plan from a madcap idea into a viable military operation. Preparations begin for your first real mission. The stakes are now infinitely higher. You will not be swallowing a test message in the relative safety of a French camp. You will be swallowing a real dispatch, containing sensitive, or so they believed, into enemy territory. One of the details that historians often puzzle over is the choice of the box's material. Why would it seem counterintuitive? A metal container might have been more durable. Some speculate that wood was chosen because they believed it would be less likely to cause a fatal perforation. Others suggest it was simply what was available. There is also the academic dispute over whether the string was really used in the final mission or just in the test. Baron Percy's account mentions the box, but the string is a detail that appears in some retellings and not others, a small but curious point of contention in your strange biography. You are, of course, blissfully unaware of the strategic implications. You did a trick, and you were rewarded with food. As far as you are concerned, this is the best job you've ever had. You have no concept of the danger you are about to be placed in. You don't understand the complexities of the war, the animosity between France and Prussia, or the likely fate of a captured spy. You are an instrument, and you have just been successfully calibrated. The general gives the order to prepare you for deployment. Your disastrous career as a secret agent is about to begin. The mission is set. The target is the town of Landau, which is held by the Prussians. Your objective: deliver the wooden box to a high-ranking French colonel who is being held there as a prisoner of war. The intelligence inside, you are told, is of vital importance. The fate of the Republic may hang in the balance. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. First, you need a disguise. You are to be transformed from private eye into a simple German peasant. The absurdity of this is almost painful. You are a native Frenchman who speaks no German. Your physical appearance is, to put it mildly, distinctive. Your gaunt frame, strange skin, and foul odor are not easily concealed by a pair of farmer's overalls. You are possibly the least convincing German peasant in the history of espionage. Nevertheless, the army tries. They dress you in rough, simple clothes. They give you a satchel and a walking stick. They probably give you a brief, hopeless lesson in how to say hello and goodbye in German. They hand you the wooden box containing the top-secret message. You swallow it on command. Your part is done. Now you just have to walk. You are taken to the front lines at night and pointed in the direction of the Prussian outposts. You are utterly alone. The familiar, structured world of the military camp is behind you. Ahead lies the darkness, the unknown, and an enemy you cannot comprehend. Your journey is a disaster from the very beginning. You are not a woodsman. You are not a soldier trained in infiltration. You are a creature of the street and the camp, used to scavenging in populated areas. The alien environment of the quiet, dark countryside disorients you. You stumble through the woods, making enough noise to alert every squirrel and sentry for miles around. The sun rises, and your situation becomes even more precarious. You are now a lone figure, shuffling awkwardly through a landscape where you clearly do not belong. You try to affect the air of a local farmer, but your every movement screams stranger. You have no sense of direction, no knowledge of the local terrain. You are simply wandering, hoping to stumble upon the town of Landau. It doesn't take long for you to be spotted. A group of Prussian soldiers on patrol sees you. They don't need to be master detectives to realize something is amiss. Your strange gait, your haunted eyes, the fact that you can't answer their simplest questions in German, it all adds up. You are immediately detained. Your capture is almost laughably inept. You don't put up a fight. You don't try to run. You simply surrender, probably with a sense of relief. The wilderness was more terrifying than the enemy. You are now a prisoner of the Prussian army. The soldiers who capture you are initially just confused. Who is this strange, silent man? But their confusion turns to suspicion. Your inability to communicate, your French-looking clothes under the peasant disguise. It all points to one thing: you are a spy. They search you. They find nothing. No hidden papers, no weapons, no codes. This only deepens their suspicion. They spy with no secrets as no spy at all. The secret must be hidden somewhere else. A fascinating, though perhaps embellished, detail of your capture is your immediate behavior. According to some accounts, as soon as you were brought to the Prussian camp and saw their mess hall, your discipline collapsed entirely. You reportedly lunged for a piece of discarded bread on the ground, revealing the ravenous hunger that lurked just beneath your placid surface. This act, more than anything, may have convinced the Prussians that you were not just a simple peasant who had lost his way. The historical debate here centers on the French command's expectations. Did General de Beauharnais and his staff genuinely believe you could succeed, or was this a low-risk, high-reward gamble, where you were considered completely expendable? Some military historians argue it was if you succeeded, the payoff would be huge. If you failed, they had only lost a useless soldier. Utilitarian calculus offers a grim insight into the realities of 18th century warfare and the value placed on a life like yours. You are taken to the Prussian commander. Your brief, ill-conceived career as a field agent is over. The far more dangerous role of prisoner and interrogue is about to begin. The Prussians are convinced you have a secret, and they are determined to get it out of you one way or another. You are dragged before the Prussian commander of the Landau sector, a man named General von Oegli. He is a stern, professional soldier of the old school, and he is not amused. He looks at you, this filthy, strange-smelling, silent prisoner, and he sees a French spy. His men have searched you and found nothing, which only confirms his suspicion that the secret you carry is well hidden. The interrogation begins. It is at first a frustrating exercise in futility. They shout questions at you in German, a language you do not understand. You stare back with your characteristic apathy, your mind likely focused on the gnawing emptiness in your stomach, not the geopolitical crisis you've stumbled into. Your silence is interpreted not as ignorance, but as defiance. The more you fail to respond, the more convinced they become of your importance. They bring in a French-speaking officer. The questions now become clear, but your answers are useless. What is your mission? Who sent you? What information do you carry? You have no coherent story to tell. You are not a trained agent with a cover identity to protect. You are just Tarrare. You probably try to explain in your simple way that you swallowed a box. They likely think you are either insane or mocking them. General von Oegli's patience wears thin. He orders that you be persuaded to talk. You are taken by the soldiers. The persuasion is brutal. You are whipped. The leather lash cuts into your thin skin, but the physical pain is perhaps a distant, secondary sensation compared to the constant, overwhelming pain of your hunger. You cry out, but you have no information to give them, no secrets to betray. You only have the one, unbelievable secret, currently lodged somewhere in your digestive tract. Your resilience under torture is in a way remarkable. Not because you are, in a sense, disconnected from the proceedings. Your mind is a fortress of emptiness that their questions and their whips cannot breach. This only infuriates them further. They are convinced you must be a hardened, elite operative of the French Republic to withstand such a beating without breaking. The irony is staggering. They are crediting you with a strength of character and a devotion to duty that you simply do not possess. As a prisoner, your primary concern remains food. You are given the standard, meager rations of a prisoner of war, which for you is a form of torture far more exquisite than the lash. You are starving more so than ever before. Your desperation becomes the defining feature of your captivity. You are seen eating spiders' leaves and dirt from the floor of your cell. It's during this period of intense starvation that one of the strangest pieces of your medical history emerges. The Prussians, both fascinated and disgusted by your behavior, reportedly threw a live snake into your cell to see what you would do. You, in your starved state, immediately lunged for it, crushed its head, and devoured it. This act, meant to be a cruel joke, becomes a key piece of your legend, a story that would be told and retold, further cementing your image as something not quite human. The debate among historians here often revolves around the Prussian perspective. Why did they go to such lengths? Was it standard procedure for suspected spies? Or was there something about you that particularly unnerved and obsessed them? It's possible that your very strangeness, your complete deviation from the norm of what a soldier or a spy should be, made them paranoid. You were unknown variable, and military minds despise unknown variables. Eventually, after the beatings fail, you break down in your own way. Not by revealing state secrets, but by confessing the simple, absurd truth. Through a torrent of panicked French, you finally manage to make them understand. The box. The secret isn't on you, it's in you. The Prussian officers look at each other, a wave of disgusted realization dawning on their faces. The interrogation is over. The wait is about to begin. The revelation that the secret is inside you shifts the dynamic of your captivity entirely. The whips and threats are put away. They are replaced by a new, more bizarre form of torment waiting. General von Zoegli, having finally extracted this unbelievable confession, now faces a new problem. He has a spy, but the intelligence is locked inside a biological safe that operates on its own unpredictable schedule. You are confined to a cell, but you are no longer just a prisoner, you are a ticking time bomb of information. You are given food and water, not out of kindness, but to encourage your digestive system to complete its cycle. The Prussian guards assigned to watch you are given the strangest duty of their careers. They are on high alert, latrine watch. The hours and then days drag on. Your body, likely stressed from the beatings and the starvation, is not cooperating. The box remains stubbornly within you. The atmosphere in the Prussian camp is one of tense, ludicrous anticipation. The general wants his intelligence. The soldiers want this weird, disgusting duty to be over. You, in the middle of it all, are probably just enjoying the regular meals. Finally, after what accounts suggest was around 30 hours of waiting, the moment arrives. You are escorted to the latrine under heavy guard. You do your business, and there, amidst the filth, is the small wooden box, a little worse for wear but fully intact. The string, a small victory for practical planning, makes the retrieval process marginally less disgusting. The box, covered in filth, is retrieved with a pair of tongs. It is washed carefully, as if it were a precious artifact. It is brought with great ceremony to General von Zoegli's headquarters. His staff is assembled. This is the culmination of days of effort, of interrogation, of torture, of waiting. This small, stained wooden box holds a French military secret, a piece of the puzzle that could give them a crucial advantage in the war. The general takes the box. He opens it carefully. He unfolds it. His eyes scan the message, and his face, which was a mask of grim anticipation, slowly contorts into a rictus of pure, unadulterated fury. This is the moment of your ultimate, unintentional act of sabotage. This is the punchline to the entire, insane joke of your spy career. The scene is a masterclass in anticlimax. The Prussians have tortured a man, stood vigil over his bodily functions, and carefully retrieved a message from the depths of his intestines, all for this. The note is not a list of troop movements. It is not a plan for an uprising. The message simply asks the recipient to let the sender know if the box arrived safely and if there is any useful information to be gleaned from the Prussians. It was a test. The French command had sent their living mailbox on its first real mission with nothing more than a "Can you hear me now" message inside. A strange, and perhaps apocryphal, detail often included in this part of the story is that the note also contained a suggestion to use you to carry more important information in the future. This would have added insult to injury for General von Zoegli, realizing he'd been made a fool in service of calibrating the enemy's new, disgusting communication system. The historical debate here is fierce. Why would the French command do this? Was it sheer incompetence? Did they not trust you with real intelligence? or risk test of the system before committing to it with actual secrets, the most charitable interpretation is the latter. They were beta testing their new technology. The less charitable view is that General Debo Harness, for all his revolutionary zeal, was a bit of a fool who risked a man's life for a pointless errand. You, of course, are unaware of the contents of the note or the General's apoplectic rage. You have fulfilled your duty. You have passed the box. You are probably expecting to be released, or at least to be given another meal. You are about to be sorely and terrifyingly mistaken. General von Zoegli is not a man who enjoys being made a fool of, and he is about to take his humiliation out on you. General von Zoegli is incandescent with rage. He has been played for a fool. His time has been wasted, his soldiers have been put through a disgusting ordeal, and his prisoner, the supposed master spy, turns out to be nothing more than a delivery boy for a meaningless memo. His fury needs an outlet, and you are the only one available. He decides that you will be punished, not for being the vessel of this grand, humiliating Anticlimus. He orders a mock execution. This is a particularly cruel form of psychological torture, designed to break a person's spirit completely. You are dragged from your cell and taken to an open courtyard. A crowd of Prussian soldiers gathers to watch the spectacle. A firing squad is assembled, their muskets gleaming in the sun. You are forced to your knees. You don't understand the shouted German commands, but the scene is unambiguous. The muskets are raised, leveled at your chest. You are about to die. In this moment, faced with imminent death, your apathy finally shatters. You are terrified. You weep. You plead for your life in French. The terror is real. The soldiers are real. The guns are real. The commander barks an order. The soldiers tense their fingers on the triggers. And then nothing. The general lets the moment of terror hang in the air, stretching it to its breaking point. He wants you to feel the cold breath of death on your neck. He wants you to be utterly broken. Then, at the last possible second, he gives another command. The soldiers lower their muskets. The execution is called off. You are left kneeling in the dirt, a sobbing, trembling wreck. The crowd of Prussian soldiers likely laughs at the pathetic display. It's the ultimate humiliation. You have been brought to the very edge of oblivion and then snatched back, not out of the general's cruel farce. General von Zoegli approaches you. He tells you that he is letting you go. He warns you never to be caught spying again, or the next execution will be real. He then orders his men to escort you to the French lines and release you. His anger is spent. His point has been made. You are no longer a threat, or even an object of interest. You are just a pathetic piece of human refuse to be discarded. The journey back to the French lines is a blur of shame and relief. You are physically unharmed, save for the old wounds from your interrogation, but you are psychologically scarred. The mock execution has done its work. You have been pushed to a mental limit you didn't know you had. This entire episode to capture the interrogation, the mock execution is a turning point. Up until now, your life has been a series of bizarre but relatively contained chapters. You were a spectacle, a medical curiosity. This is the first time your condition has placed you in mortal danger at the hands of powerful, hostile men. The game is no longer about getting your next meal. It's about survival. Historians often wonder about the long-term psychological effects of this event. Did it induce a form of PTSD? Did it change your perception of the world? Baron Percy's later descriptions of you suggest a man who is even more broken, more desperate to escape his condition than before. The apathy of mind he once described may have been shattered, replaced by a very real and potent fear. A less discussed but significant aspect of your release is the Prussian perspective on your abilities. They now knew about France's human mailbox spy. Did they circulate this information among their intelligence networks? Your cover, such as it was blown. You could never be used in this capacity again, a fact that the French command would soon have to accept. Your career as a spy was not only a failure but a compromised secret. You stumble back across the no man's land, a free man once more. But you are not the same person who left. You are returning to the French army, not as a survivor of a terrifying ordeal, a man who has stared into the barrel of a gun and seen the absolute limit of his strange existence. You arrive back at the French camp, a ghost returning from the dead. You are gaunt, filthy, and trembling, the trauma of your ordeal etched onto your face. You make your way to the military hospital at Salty Z, the only place that has ever felt remotely like a home. You are seeking refuge, a safe harbor from the storm of your recent past. You find your way back to Baron Percy. He is likely shocked to see you. You were sent on a secret mission and disappeared. Most would have assumed you were captured and executed for real. Your reappearance is both a relief and a source of intense medical and military interest. You tell your story, or what you can of it. You describe the capture, the interrogation, the starvation, and the terrifying mock execution. As Percy listens, it becomes clear to him that your career as an espionage agent is, and always was, a catastrophic failure. You are temperamentally, psychologically, and intellectually unfit for such work. More than that, you have developed a mortal fear of the military and the very idea of war. The game, as you may have perceived it, is no longer fun. This experience seems to have fundamentally changed you. The passivity and apathy that had characterized you for so long had been replaced by a raw, desperate desire for one thing: normalcy. You have seen where your condition can lead you not to a full belly, but to a firing squad. The hunger is still there, a constant, tyrannical presence, but now it is paired with a new and powerful emotion: fear. You fall to your knees before Baron Percy. The man who had once been your clinical observer is now your last hope. You beg him, with a sincerity and desperation you have never before shown, to cure you. Make me like other men, you plead. It is a heartbreaking moment. For the first time, you are not just asking for food. You are asking for a new life. You are asking to be freed from the prison of your own body. Baron Percy is moved. He is a man of science, but he is also a man of compassion. He has seen the horrors of war, and he sees in you a unique kind of casualty. He agrees to do everything in his power to help you. He sees it as his medical and moral duty. Your case is no longer just a scientific curiosity. It has become a quest for a cure. The historical debate here focuses on Percy's motivations. Was he driven purely by humanitarian concern, or was the allure of being the one to solve the unprecedented medical puzzle of Tarrare, or also a factor? It was likely a combination of both. Curing you would be a monumental achievement, a triumph of medical science. It would also be an act of profound kindness. A little-known aspect of this period is that the army officially retired you from service. Your file was likely stamped with a note deeming you unfit for any further military duties. You were no longer a soldier. You were now officially what you had been in practice for months: a full-time patient, a resident of the military hospital under the exclusive care of Baron Percy. This was a significant step, as it freed Percy to try any treatment he saw fit, without the need for military approval for active personnel. You are admitted back into the familiar, if grim, world of the hospital ward. But this time, the dynamic is different. The experiments are over. The goal is not to test your limits, but to bring you back within the bounds of normal human experience. You have survived the Prussians, you have survived your own calamitous incompetence as a spy. Now you face the greatest challenge of all, the battle against the monster within. And for the first time, you have a powerful ally in your corner. Your plea, "Make me like other men," hangs in the air of Baron Percy's office. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one defined not by exploitation, but by a desperate search for a cure. Percy, true to his word, dedicates himself to your case with renewed vigor. The objective has changed from documentation to intervention. The great medical puzzle of Tarrare must be solved. Percy begins with the most logical and conservative approaches of his time. He is a man of the Enlightenment, and he believes in reason and order. He theorizes that your insatiable hunger might be tamed by controlling your diet and environment. He starts you on a regimen of what was then considered healthy and calming food. He prescribes acidic liquids like wine vinegar, hoping to curb your appetite. He feeds you large quantities of soft-boiled eggs, a gentle, protein-rich food. You cooperate, at least at first. You want the gnawing void to close. You drink the vinegar, you eat the eggs. But it's like trying to put out a forest fire with a teacup. Your hunger does not abate. It rages against the bland, controlled diet. The gnawing ache is a constant torment, and the meager, healthy meals are a form of slow torture. Next, Percy tries a more psychological approach, rooted in the nascent field of what would become behavioral therapy. He attempts to associate food with negative stimuli. He gives you laudanum, a powerful opium tincture common at the time. The idea is to sedate you, to dull your senses and, by extension, your appetite. You take the opium, but it has little effect. Your metabolic furnace seems to burn through the narcotic almost as quickly as it burns through food. He moves on to more extreme measures. He tries controlled substances that are foul-tasting and unappetizing. The logic is that if he can make the act of eating unpleasant, your compulsion might lessen. He feeds you mixtures that would make a go tretch. You eat them without complaint. Your palate, like your stomach, is a wasteland of non-discrimination. Nothing is too disgusting to be consumed. Every attempt fails. Your condition is not a matter of taste or habit, it is a fundamental biological imperative. Percy's structured scientific approach is no match for the primal chaos of your physiology. The regimen breaks down. Your willpower, pitted against the hurricane of your hunger, inevitably shatters. You begin to revert to your old ways, but now within the confines of the hospital. You are a whirlwind of desperate scavenging. You sneak out of your ward at night, a gaunt spectre haunting the hospital corridors. You are caught time and again in the kitchens, wolfing down leftovers from other patients' plates. You are found in the garbage pits, fighting with the dogs for scraps. Your behavior becomes more and more extreme. You are caught drinking the blood that has been let from other patients, lapping it up from the bowls in the surgery ward. You break into the hospital morgue. The reasons are horrifiedly unclear. Are you there to eat the poultices and bandages from the corpses, or, in your starved and desperate state, are you there for the corpses themselves? The records are chillingly ambiguous on this point, leaving a dark shadow of suspicion over your actions. One of the most debated questions among medical historians is the efficacy of Percy's treatments. Were they doomed from the start, given our modern understanding of conditions like Prader-Willi syndrome or certain types of brain damage? It's clear that no 18th century remedy could have cured a condition as profound as yours. Percy was, in essence, fighting a dragon with a wooden sword. Some historians are critical, suggesting his treatments were naive and even cruel in their failure, arguing that he was using the most advanced knowledge available to him in a genuinely compassionate, if ultimately futile, attempt to help. The failure of the treatments is a devastating blow both to you and to Percy. For Percy, it is a professional and intellectual defeat. He has thrown the full weight of his knowledge at you, and it has bounced off without leaving a dent. For you, it is the death of hope. The promise of being made like other men has evaporated. You are trapped. The cure does not exist. The monster inside you has won. And with this realization, your hunger, no longer restrained by the hope of treatment, is about to become more dangerous than ever before. The failure of every prescribed treatment marks a dark turning point. The fragile alliance between you and Baron Percy, built on the hope of a cure, begins to fray. Percy is at his wit's end. He has exhausted the pharmacopoeia and the dietary theories of his time. You are beyond his help, and he knows it. His compassion is now mixed with a weary sense of dread. He sees you not as a patient on the road to recovery, but as a walking, uncontrollable liability. For you, the dream of normalcy has died. The last flicker of hope has been extinguished. All that remains is the hunger. And now, untethered from the discipline of a treatment regimen, it spirals into its most desperate and dangerous form. Your behavior in the hospital escalates from disruptive to truly menacing. The hospital becomes your personal hunting ground, a 24-hour buffet of the inedible and the unthinkable. The staff, who once viewed you with a mixture of pity and scientific curiosity, now see you with fear. You are a phantom of ravenous desire, a constant threat to the order and sanitation of the institution. You are no longer just sneaking into the kitchens for leftovers. You are devouring the poultices intended for patients' wounds, ripping them off and stuffing them into your mouth. You are caught chewing on the surgeon's rubber catheters. The line between organic and inorganic, clean and filthy, has been completely erased. If it can be swallowed, you will try to swallow it. Your compulsion drives you to the darkest corners of the hospital. The surgery ward with its bowls of drained blood becomes a frequent target. The morgue, a place of solemn finality for others, is for you a place of grim opportunity. The staff begins to lock the doors, not just to preserve the dignity of the dead, but to keep you out. The suspicion that you have engaged in necrophagy, the eating of dead bodies, hangs heavy in the air, a rumor too horrific to substantiate but too plausible to dismiss. Baron Percy is in an impossible position. He has taken responsibility for you, but he is also responsible for the safety and well-being of every other patient and staff member in the hospital. He can no longer control you. The guards he posts are ineffective against your cunning and desperation. The locks he orders are eventually bypassed. You are a force of nature that cannot be contained within the walls of a civilized institution. The relationship between you and the other patients, which was likely always strained, collapses completely. They are terrified of you. They hide their meager rations. They watch you with wide, fearful eyes. You are the bogeyman of the ward, a real-life ghoul who haunts the hallways at night. A particularly telling, and grimly specific, anecdote from this period involves your discovery of a new food source, live animals brought in for medical experiments. At the time, vivisection was a common, if brutal, method of scientific inquiry. The hospital kept a stock of dogs, cats, and other animals for this purpose. You found them. You would break into their enclosures and consume them, creating a gruesome scene for the staff to discover in the morning. This is a point where historical interpretation diverges. Is this behavior simply the logical endpoint of a physiological disease driving you to find any available source of calories, or does it represent a complete psychological breakdown, a descent into a state of pure, animalistic instinct? The academic debate here is not just about a diagnosis, but about the very nature of your humanity. At what point does a man stop being a man and become something else entirely? Percy watches this terrifying decline with a heavy heart. He sees the young man who pleaded to be made normal disappearing, replaced by a creature of pure, uncontrollable impulse. He knows that a line is about to be crossed, that something truly terrible is bound to happen. The hospital, once a sanctuary, has become a pressure cooker, and the situation is about to explode in the most tragic way imaginable. The simmering tension in the hospital erupts into a full-blown crisis. The catalyst is not something you ate, but something that can no longer be found. A child, a 14-month-old baby, has vanished from its cot in one of the wards. The news rips through the hospital like a shockwave. A frantic search is launched. Every room, every cupboard, every corner is checked. The parents are hysterical. The staff is in a panic. But as the hours stretch on with no sign of the child, a collective, horrifying suspicion begins to form in the minds of everyone at the hospital. All eyes turn to you. It is a logical, if monstrous, leap of faith. Who else in the hospital was known to have an insatiable, indiscriminate appetite? Who else had been seen consuming live animals? Who else seemed to have no moral or instinctual boundaries when it came to their hunger? Your entire history, from the streets of Paris to the experimental labs of the army, points to you as the prime suspect. The accusation is never officially proven. There is no body, no confession, no definitive evidence. But, in the court of hospital opinion, you are tried and convicted in an instant. The whispers become a roar. Tarrare did it. The monster ate the child. The staff who once feared you are now openly hostile. The other patients shrink away from you in terror. You are no longer just a nuisance or a medical freak. You are a suspected murderer, a cannibal, a real-life ogre from the darkest fairy tales. Baron Percy is plunged into the worst crisis of his professional life. He is your protector, the man who argued for your treatment and housing in the hospital. He is now seen as the man who harbored a monster. The disappearance of the child is a catastrophic failure of his judgment. He can no longer defend you. He cannot prove your innocence, and in his heart, he likely harbors the same terrible suspicion as everyone else. He had witnessed you eat a cat, a snake, a puppy, was a human infant so far beyond the realm of possibility for a hunger as absolute as yours. This is the most controversial and debated part of your entire life story. Did you do it? Did you eat the child? Historians are deeply divided. Some argue that it is the tragic but logical culmination of your condition. A man whose hunger drove him to eat corpses and live animals could, in a moment of desperate, mindless compulsion, commit such an act. They point to Percy's own horrified reaction and his inability to defend you as tacit confirmation. Others argue passionately for your innocence. They claim you became a convenient scapegoat for a tragedy that could have had other explanations. An infant in a crowded, chaotic 18th century hospital could have been kidnapped for any number of reasons, or even died of natural causes and had its body disposed of improperly. They argue that accusing you was the easiest way to close the case and explain the unexplainable. They point out that no concrete evidence was ever found to link you to the disappearance. This remains the great, unanswered question of your life, a historical whodunit of the most disturbing kind. The truth is, we will never know for sure, but in that moment, the truth doesn't matter. The accusation is enough. Baron Percy, with a heavy heart and his reputation in tatters, to no longer protect you. The hospital administration, under immense pressure from the public and the authorities, demands your immediate removal. Percy makes the decision. He cannot turn you over to the authorities without proof. It would be a legal nightmare, and with your history, you would likely be condemned to a horrific fate. He also cannot, in good conscience, keep you. So he does the only thing he can. He tells you to run. He tells you to run. He forces you out of the hospital, the only home you have, and casts you back into the world. You are driven from the gates, a pariah, a monster, fleeing an accusation that will follow you for the rest of your short life. You disappear into the streets of France, swallowed by the shadows once more. You are in exile once more. Cast out from the hospital, you melt back into the anonymity of the French landscape. The year is now around 1794. The reign of Tarrare is at its height, a time of paranoia, suspicions, and public executions. It is a dangerous world for anyone, but for a man like you, a known oddity fleeing a monstrous accusation, it is a minefield. The 4 years that follow are a black box in your history. There are no detailed records, no clinical observations from this period. You simply vanish. Where did you go? How did you survive? We can only piece together a plausible narrative based on your past behaviors and the harsh realities of the time. You likely revert to your old ways, the life you knew before the army and the hospitals. You become a wanderer again, a scavenger on the fringes of society. You drift from town to town, a gaunt spectre of hunger. But this time is different. You are older, weaker, and you are haunted. You are not just fleeing your hunger, you are fleeing your reputation. The story of the child eater of the Salteasy Hospital may have spread, a dark piece of folklore whispered in taverns and marketplaces. You survive by your wits and your complete lack of scruples. You eat what others discard, the refuse from butcher shops, the slop from inns, the garbage of the towns. You likely fall back into your old routine of foraging for snakes, frogs, and stray animals in the woods and fields. The world is your buffet of the damned. Life is a solitary moment-to-moment struggle for survival. There is no troupe of performers to protect you, no curious doctor to feed you in exchange for a show. You are isolated by your condition and the horrific crime you are believed to have committed. The loneliness must have been as profound as the hunger itself. This period of your life is a testament to your bizarre resilience. In a time of immense social upheaval and widespread poverty, you managed to keep your body and soul together, fueled by a diet that would kill a normal person within days. You are a cockroach in the apocalypse, a creature adapted to survive in the most toxic of environments. What did you think about during these years in the wilderness? Did you think about the child? Did you feel guilt? Or the burning injustice of a false accusation? Did you remember Baron Percy with fondness? Or with bitterness? Did you still dream of being made like other men? This is where the historical record fails us and we enter the realm of pure speculation. The human being inside the medical anomaly is lost to time. All we know is the what of your survival, not the how of your emotional endurance. Some historians have tried to trace potential sightings of you during this time, looking for accounts of a ghoul-like man or a voracious vagrant in local French records, but nothing conclusive has ever been found. You were a ghost, leaving no trace but the whispers of fear you inspired in those who caught a glimpse of your passing. This period also raises an interesting, if unanswerable, medical question. How did your body continue to function? The constant ingestion of rotting, bacterial-laden material should have led to fatal infections. The swallowing of hard objects should have caused perforations. Yet, you endured. The academic dispute here is whether you had some unique immunological properties. Was your gut biome a super colony of microbes capable of neutralizing any pathogen? Or was your stomach lining as tough as old leather? It's a puzzle that modern medicine can only guess at. These 4 years of silence are the final, mysterious chapter of your active life. You are a man without a history, a footnote in the margins of a nation in turmoil. You are running from your past and running from yourself, but your own biology is a prison from which there is no escape. Your body, which has endured so much, is beginning to fail. The end is approaching, and it will find you not in the wilderness you have been prowling, but in a place of grim familiarity. 4 years after you vanished, you resurface. The year is 1798. The reign of terror has ended, and France is under the Directory, a chaotic and corrupt precursor to Napoleon's rule. You are no longer in the east of France, near the German border. You are in Versailles, the town once synonymous with royal excess, now just another provincial hub. You don't arrive with a spectacle or a plea. You arrive as a dying man. You stumble into the public hospital of Versailles, a broken, emaciated shell of your former self. You are only 26 years old, but you look like an old man. Your body, that miraculous, monstrous machine, is finally shutting down. A young physician named M. Tarrare is the chief doctor at the hospital. He is alerted to the arrival of a peculiar patient with a strange and alarming medical history. You confess your identity to him. You are Tarrare. The name still carries a faint echo of infamy in the medical community. Tarrare is intrigued and alarmed. He knows the legends, the case studies written by Percy. He is now face to face with the man, the myth, the monster. You are suffering from what you believe is a golden fork that you swallowed 2 years prior and which has become lodged inside you, causing your current illness. You are convinced this is the source of your pain and weakness. It's a poignant, almost childlike explanation for your decline. You have swallowed so many impossible things that it seems perfectly logical to you that a piece of stolen tableware is the cause of your demise. Tarrare examines you. He can immediately tell that your condition is far more serious than a launched fork. You have all the signs of advanced, galloping tuberculosis or consumption as it was then known. Your body, weakened by years of malnutrition and God knows what else, has finally succumbed to a common and deadly disease. You are also suffering from what he describes as suppurative and putrid diarrhea, a sign of a massive, systemic infection. You are admitted to a ward. There is no hope of a cure this time. There are no experiments, no treatments. All Tarrare and the hospital staff can do is provide palliative care to make your final days as comfortable as possible. You are dying, and the process is rapid and unpleasant. The infamous odor that has followed you your entire life intensifies to an unbearable degree in your final days. The staff can barely stand to be in the same room. In your moments of lucidity, do you reflect on your life? Do you see the faces of the crowds in Paris? The stern gaze of General de Beauharnais, the compassionate, frustrated eyes of Baron Percy? Do you think of the child, or is your consciousness already fading, dissolving into a feverish dream of pain and memory? Your death is not a dramatic event. There is no final confession, no great revelation. You simply expire. One day, about a month after being admitted, your ravaged body gives up the fight. Tarrare, the human black hole, the walking medical mystery, the failed spy, the suspected monster, is dead at the age of 26. The legend should have ended there. But for a man of science like M. Tarrare, your death was not an end. It was an opportunity. For the first time, someone had the chance to look inside you, to finally solve the riddle that you had presented to the world. He was determined not to let the opportunity go to waste. A small historical debate exists around your final diagnosis. While tuberculosis was the official cause of death, Some modern scholars suggest you may also have been suffering from a severe form of exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which would explain your inability to digest fats and proteins, leading to constant hunger and foul-smelling stools. Others point to a massive gastrointestinal infection as the final straw. It's likely a combination of all these factors, a perfect storm of disease and decay that your unique, but ultimately fragile body could not withstand. The hospital staff, repulsed by the stench and the stories associated with you, want to give you a quick, anonymous burial. But Tarrare insists. He wants to perform an autopsy. He wants to see the source of the legend. He wants to look into the abyss. Tarrare's insistence wins out over the staff's revulsion. Your body is not immediately sent to the potter's field. Instead, it is wheeled into the amphitheater, the place of anatomical demonstration. For the last time, you are a spectacle. But this time, the audience is not a gaping crowd or a curious general, but a small, brave group of physicians and students, their faces covered with handkerchiefs, soaked in vinegar to ward off the stench. The air in the room is thickened nearly unbreathable. The putrefaction has advanced with astonishing speed. Even hardened anatomists, accustomed to the smells of death and decay, are visibly struggling. But Tarrare is determined. He picks up his scalpel. The final performance is about to begin. The first incision is made, and a wave of noxious gas is released, forcing some of the onlookers to retreat. As Tarrare opens your thoracic and abdominal cavities, he finally gets to see the secrets you have hidden for 26 years. But what he finds is both exactly what he expected and profoundly disappointing. Your gullet is, as the legends suggested, astonishingly wide. Tarrare notes that he could look down your exposed esophagus and see directly into the vast, open cavern of your stomach. The passage that had been a conduit for so many impossible things was, indeed, a biological marvel of elasticity. Your stomach itself is immense, but it is not a robust, powerful organ. It's a flaccid, sagging bag. Its walls thin and covered with weeping ulcers and patches of decay. It takes up a huge portion of your abdominal cavity, pushing other organs aside. Your liver and gallbladder are also abnormally large, evidence of a system constantly working in overdrive. The entire cavity is described as being filled with pus and gangrenous fluid, confirming the massive infection that was the final cause of your death. But here is the central, anticlimactic truth of your autopsy. There is no grand secret. There is no demonic parasite. There is no anatomical feature that is not fundamentally human. What Tarrare finds is not an alien, but a grotesquely distended and diseased version of a normal man. Your body tells the story of the effects of your condition, but it refuses to give up the secret of its cause. And the golden fork, the object you were convinced was the source of your final illness, it is nowhere to be found. It was a phantom, a delusion conjured by a dying mind trying to make sense of its own suffering. The investigation cannot continue. The stench is too powerful. The state of decay is too extreme. Tarrare and his colleagues, after documenting the most obvious and astounding features, the wide gullet, the enormous stomach, are forced to abandon the full autopsy. They cannot examine your brain or other organs in detail. Even in death, you repel them. You hold on to your deepest mysteries. The final chapter of your story is left with pages missing. Historians and medical experts are still in debate over this incomplete evidence. What was the root cause that the autopsy failed to uncover? Was it a defect in your hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates hunger? Was it a genetic disorder like the then unknown Prader-Willi syndrome, which causes an insatiable appetite? Or was it an endocrine system gone haywire, a thyroid gland burning with the fire of 1,000 suns? The scalpel of an 18th century surgeon could reveal your stretched stomach, but it could not reveal a faulty gene or a misfiring neuron. The why of you was, and remains, invisible. Your body is hastily sewn back together. The brief, foul examination is over. You are taken from the hospital and buried, finally, in a common grave, with no stone to mark your passing. You dissolve back into the earth, an enigma to the very end. The story of Tarrare concludes not with an answer, but with the quiet, unsettling echo of a question: what was he, a man, a monster, or merely the victim of a hunger that the world could neither understand nor satisfy? The autopsy table fades away. The cold, clinical air of the hospital dissolves into the quiet warmth of your own room. The story of Tarrare, with its sharp edges of hunger and horror, begins to soften, its details blurring like watercolor in the rain. The gnawing emptiness that drove him is gone. There is no hunger here. There is only stillness, a gentle and profound peace settling over you. The memory of his name, a strange and foreign sound, drifts away like a whisper on the wind. The images, the gaping crowds, the stern generals, the curious doctors all recede, becoming distant figures in a landscape of dreams. What remains is not the narrative, but the feeling of a long journey coming to an end, of a restless spirit finally finding its quiet harbor. You can feel the gentle weight of your blanket, a comforting anchor in the soft sea of drowsiness. The hum of the fan, which was the backdrop to our story, is now just a gentle, rhythmic breath, lulling you deeper into rest. The voice is fading. The world outside your window is silent, holding its breath as you drift. There are no more questions to be answered, no more mysteries to be solved. There is only this moment, this quiet transition from wakefulness to the soft embrace of sleep. Let the last remnants of the tale dissolve. Let your thoughts become slow, heavy, and serene. You are safe. You are comfortable. You are falling asleep. The end of the article. Good night.